The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the producers and the individuals appearing on this program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff of the Sun Prairie Media Center, its members or underwriters, the board members of the Media Center Commission, Charter Communications, TDS Telecom, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man seated next to me is the future version of himself. His name is Mike Roth.
Yep, I'm exactly 0.5 seconds into the future.
Dude, you just said that.
I just did.
That's pretty
crazy.
Wild.
Did you notice that our location is a little different?
It is pretty cool. We got a lot of stuff going on behind us because we are here at the Palace Cinema here, Marcus Theater's prime location here in Sun Prairie, and we are celebrating our 5-year anniversary. It has been 5 years since we started this little review program. Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, right back at
dapper. You've even got a little kerchief.
Yeah, that is. I've been feeling ill, so you always keep a nice kerchief in case
it's a mark of a gentleman.
Start bleeding through the eyes or something like that.
Very good. Yes, I mean, here we are. We'll be talking about it more a little later, but really fun location to do our show from.
It's a little odd doing it here because I'm used to seeing screens for our trailers and stuff, and now every time I look up, I am seeing boxing, which is great. But
a lot of good things. So we've got a lot of movies actually to talk about this week. So let's go ahead and get started with what we have on our streaming spotlight, sir. What do you have streaming spotlight?
Unicorn Store. Usually when we do new reviews, the movie is new. This case, made in 2017. No one really picked it up until good old Netflix. It's written and directed by Brie Larson. Brie Larson, she plays Kit. She's a 30-year-old that kind of don't know what she's going to do with her life. She's back at home with mom and dad, and she has dreams and aspirations and stuff. She just doesn't know how to format that until she gets she gets a normal job,
right?
But then she gets a phone call from the salesman, played by Samuel L. Jackson, to come in because we have the one thing in your life you need. That's all we're going to sell. So, unlike most people, she goes into this store, and Lord and behold, they are selling one unicorn. And this is her childhood dream.
Right.
She buys into it, and she goes on pretty much a small adventure with a new friend that she makes at the hardware store in order to make a life and home for this unicorn. We also have performances by Joan Cusack and Bradley Whitmore as Brie Larson's parents. I think they did a fantastic job. This movie is extremely quirky, but lighthearted. I really didn't feel a sense of doom. I think this is a nice, comfortable movie to just kind of chill and watch.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird movie to me because this comes right off the heels of her winning Best Actress for Room, and was kind of given some agency to do whatever she wanted. This feels like an odd choice to me. For this is my dream project. This is how I want to enter the scene as a director. To me, it feels a lot like a film from a different time. It feels like it should have come out I could see this in the 80s starring a young John Cusack.
Yeah.
It feels very weird as far as that goes. I liked the dynamic between, it's obvious the dynamic between Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson. There's a reason this was held for so long, and then Netflix picks it up to coincide with Captain Marvel. They worked well together. I really dug Mamadou Athie, who played Virgil in this. I really liked him. He was in Patty Cakes a couple years ago. I think he was the best part of Patty Cakes. I liked him. My issue with this movie, though, is that a lot of the characters felt very surface level to me. They didn't feel like there was any depth to the characters. And so just, I don't know, I even kind of in moments felt that Brie Larson's character was unlikable.
Really?
And she's incredibly selfish. She
True.
has Arrested Development. She's incredibly selfish. She refuses to grow up. And part of me was kind of like, yeah, you are spoiled and don't want to live a real life.
Yeah.
And so there were moments where I was kind of like, yeah, you shouldn't get your dreams. You don't get your unicorn.
When she played her character, I understand she was a selfish person, and I mean, there is a lot of jealousy she had of other people that her parents were like, yeah, they're doing something with their life, and she's like, no, that's terrible. Yeah, she's selfish, but I like the spark that she got when she had a childhood fantasy feel like it was coming true for her. Most adults, they're not giddy over dying hay for their magical beast.
I love the moments with she, especially like the first moment between she and Virgil when she wants him to build the stable.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and she's very childlike. She doesn't understand real world things, which is kind of interesting to me. But I just had a hard time connecting with this movie, with these characters. A lot of it felt like the characters were like finger paintings of rainbows as opposed to three-dimensional statues. I felt like I knew everything from the first 5 minutes about these characters.
And I bet you everybody thought the same way because, I mean, it's been on the shelf for quite a long time.
Yeah.
I must have just been in the mood because
Hey,
I did enjoy it.
Something for everyone. What did you end up giving Unicorn Store?
I give it a 3. It's not like knock it out of the park, but I thought it calming and
All
pleasant.
right. I think I gave it a 1.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You really didn't like
I
this
didn't care
movie.
for it, man. I said I didn't connect with these characters.
Wow.
Like Virgil is the only character that I connected with.
Okay.
The rest of them, I didn't feel it. I wasn't feeling it.
Oh,
But
fair.
To each their own.
You're just like probably everybody else who
But
did
if
not
it
want
sounds
to run
interesting
it.
to you, it is on Netflix right now for your streaming pleasure. The next movie we have on the marquee this week, we have Best of Enemies from director Robin Bissell. It's Robin Bissell's debut directorial film. Stars Taraji P. Henson as Ann Atwater and Sam Rockwell as C.P. Ellis. This is based on actual events. 1971, Durham, North Carolina. Ann Atwater was a social organizer who was fighting to help African-American community with real issues that were going on in their housing and dealing with landlords and just all kinds of issues. Meanwhile, C.P. Ellis was the exalted Cyclops of the KKK in Durham, North Carolina. He did not like Ann Atwater or the things she stood for. She was fighting for school integration after the African-American school in town caught fire. And the good old boys on the city council were not about to let that be a reason to integrate their schools. So they brought in a guy, Bill Riddick, who's played by Babu Kise, who is from the NAACP and who eventually negotiated this thing called a charrette, which I'd never heard of, but it was basically where he took 5 people from each side of this issue, 5 African Americans, 5 of these white races, and they had to spend a few weeks together, learning together about different things, talking in a formal setting, and basically spending every day together and trying to find common ground. And then there was agreement they would have a vote after this time. Whatever that vote would be about integration would be binding with the city council.
Interesting.
Kind of interesting. And so the KKK, of course, used their usual tactics of intimidation, trying to dissuade certain votes and different things like that. And, eventually C.P. Ellis maybe sees the light in this story. The thing with this movie is that it's very. They try to build tension in this movie, but you know how this is ending.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no doubt, and so a lot of the tension feels really contrived to me, because there's not a story if the vote doesn't go the right way. It's a really depressing film.
It would be.
And so there's 2 great performances in here. I mean, Sam Rockwell is great. His performance, though, was kind of reminiscent of his performance in 3 Billboards a couple years ago, where he played the racist cop in that one, who kind of had a heart of gold at the end, right? Kind of saw his ways.
Yeah.
This was very much the same, where he's the racist with the heart. It also, his character was kind of really reminiscent to, in a certain context, to Viggo Mortensen's character in Green Book last year, where he was kind of the racist who might have learned a different way, and maybe he could help save the day, which kind of... Taraji P. Henson was great. Her performance was awesome. It was very physical, like right down to her walk. She changed her walk. to portray this lady.
How so?
She just had, it wasn't a graceful walk. She had the walk of someone who was very purposeful and didn't care about grace as long as she got results. It was just everything about her, the physicality of her role. It wasn't pretty, but it was very effective. There were some genuine moments in here that were really great, especially between the two of them. But like I said, the tension just felt contrived to me. They really dragged the ending out when you knew how it's going to end. And they just dragged it out so long, and the strings start playing, and you know. But on the basis of the strength of the performances, I give it 3 stars out of 5.
Fair.
It's good enough. Worth checking out. So next on the marquee, sir, what do you have for us?
This would be the big one. The remake of Stephen King's book, Pet Sematary. It's been a while since we've seen the
23 years?
Yeah, it's been a while. And so I feel like now's a good time. They're coming out with Stephen King stuff again.
Yeah.
So we have Dennis Widmeyer and Kevin Kolsch. They are directors of this movie. Jason Clarke, he plays Lewis. He's the father. Amy Schmez.
Amy Simons.
Thank you very much. Plays Rachel. Jonathan Lithgow, he plays the neighbor, Judd.
Yeah.
They have 2 children, Ellie and Gage. In the movie, very similar to the other movies and the book, Kat ends up getting run over. Jonathan Lithgow, he sends Lewis up to an area that's the ground sour.
Yeah.
Things happen when you bury things in the ground here. Kat comes back.
Ooh.
But it's a little different.
No.
It's not the same cuddly cat it used to be. And so oddly, you'd see a situation like that, and when something tragic happens, like a child dies, which happens to Ellie, the older daughter, he decides he's going to recreate the situation because he hasn't had that time to let go or say goodbye. He buries her, and of course, she's not the same, but this one is able to pick up knives. So there causes some tension. And like with all the other horror movies, more death happens. It's expected, and it has a little twist that's different than the book or the original movie. But I feel that's par. A lot of people don't want to do. I would love to see a direct remake. I love it when they're able to say something like Bram Stoker's or Stephen King's, and then follow up with a title afterwards, making it, this is exactly to the book as we can do it.
Right.
But they didn't choose to do this way, but it didn't feel forced. It felt really organic and natural, and I really thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, there's some real tension in here that worked for me. There's some moments that I actually had to look away.
Yeah, me too.
And much like Hereditary, I have problems with things happening to children. I have a hard time watching that. And so there were some moments in here where I'm just going to look down for a minute. Like, I don't want to see things.
Yeah.
I think that John Lithgow stands out in this. Obviously, he plays the old codger next door perfectly in this movie. He's great. I really like Jenny Lawrence as the daughter.
Yes.
I thought she was really cool. She had some weird physicality to her.
No, movies that star kids creep me out in
It
general.
can go one way or the other
for
me. It can really work, or it can be like, oh, that kid did not have it.
Yeah.
And she was good in this one. There's something about Jason Clarke, though, that doesn't work for me in everything he does.
Really?
I used to like him when he first came onto the scene. I liked his first couple of films. And now I've started to realize that he plays every role the exact same way. That it's everything I've seen him in, from Chappaquiddick to Terminator Genesis to everything I've seen him in, the Winchester movie last year. He kind of plays everything the same, like sour, stone-faced, very little emotion. Even to this one. I mean, here's a father who's grieving, and outside of a tear rolling down his cheek at the funeral, he's kind of just stone-faced instead of grieving. There's something about him that I feel like he should have more in his repertoire that he doesn't use.
As an actor, he's someone I always recognize his face. I can never say, oh, he's in this movie, because he just kind of blends in to everything.
Yeah.
But even though he is somewhat the star of the movie, I don't think he is a main focus by any means.
Right. I think the movie was effective, and I think that it was a good remake. Another one of the things that they do in this movie that drives me nuts, though, is having a character, especially multiple times in this movie, Googling information as a way to convey something to the audience about what's going on. It feels lazy to me as a screenwriter. And you're like, I'll just have him Google it. The people can watch him Google it on the screen.
There's a cliche scene in this movie when you're going downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
I don't know why. I've seen this before. I knew this was going to happen, but
every
single
time
time,
stairs, something's happening.
and I just have to tear my eyes away.
Yeah.
And this movie had a lot of moments like that where I knew something creepy was going to come, and I had to turn away. And a lot of times, I don't get that from movies, especially from a movie that's a remake.
Right.
I know most of the steps for this thing.
I enjoyed this one more than I did the original.
I think I did too.
Other than I really like Fred Gwynne in the original as the neighbor. I think he and Lithgow were both great in that.
I didn't find any boring spots or low spots in this movie. I didn't find the rewrites to be jeopardizing what they were trying to say. I found it generally creepy.
So what did you end up giving Pet Sematary?
I give it a 4-star. And the reason why, if this was an original movie and I wasn't expecting the beats, I probably would have given it higher marks.
Yeah?
But
So it
I
worked.
really liked the flow. I liked the scares. It was decent.
Nice. Yeah, I gave it 3.5 out of 5. It worked for me.
Nice.
You know? I agree with you, though, that if I didn't know going in some of the beats, when to expect them and what to expect, it probably would have worked even more for me. I had some real tension in this movie. So, the last movie we have on the marquee, one of the last movies we have on the marquee this week is a film called The Man Who Killed Don Quixote from director Terry Gilliam. This movie is a fascinating Hollywood backstory that Terry Gilliam has been trying to make this movie for 30 years. It has kind of been a passion project of his. The story's told in a documentary that came out a few years ago called Lost in La Mancha. And Terry Gilliam has had ups and downs. He's made this movie, parts of it, several times. He had Johnny Depp starring in it for a while, and then it crapped out, and they're in the middle of the desert not knowing what to do. And so I've been following this movie as it's kind of started and stopped over recent years. But he actually got it on screen now. It's a thing. It's a real movie. However, it's a mess. It's a real mess. It stars Adam Driver as Toby. Toby is a jaded filmmaker who is struggling to find his own passion project. A lot of this movie is very autobiographical for Terry Gilliam.
Okay.
You feel a lot of him in this. So he's trying to find his passion project. And he stumbles into this Spanish town that was a town where he had made this student film about Don Quixote years ago. And he finds himself in this town as he's doing a commercial shoot for some vodka. And he finds the guy who he had, this shoemaker who had played Don Quixote in his student film. And this shoemaker has spent this entire time believing that he still is Don Quixote. And that he is there to bring back the age of chivalry. And so he believes that he's still a hero. The man who played Sancho has died. The lady who is Angelica has gone missing. And so Toby kind of bonds with his Don Quixote. He finds some inspiration, reminds him why he wanted to be a filmmaker back in the day. And they kind of bond and set off on this adventure. And he's at first kind of playing along with Don Quixote, and as Toby suddenly becomes the poncho. They go off on this adventure. The problem is that the movie goes all over the place, and there's a lot of times you're not sure where you are in the movie because it flashes back randomly, and it feels very random. There's some unmistakable Terry Gilliam in this movie, like visually. He's a great visual director. But I think that because he's been working on this for so long, it's had a lot of the life sucked out of it. I think he took a lot of the fun out of it.
Okay.
Just, when you just keep working the same thing over and over and over, I think he took it past the point of, he left the steak on the grill too long, and it took a lot of the life out of it. It feels like a project that he was so close to for so long that he couldn't be objective about the film.
Yeah.
And so, there's good moments. It's just really uneven. There's no consistency in the performance, no consistency in the story. And a lot of the movie I was left scratching my head like, what does that even mean? Why is that in there? What? And it's great. Jonathan Pryce as Don Quixote was really good. Adam Driver, who I love, was confusing. His choices were very confusing. It felt like it had been reshot multiple times, and so it didn't feel consistent. It felt like we shot this scene and 3 months later came back and shot another scene. And so it was all over the place. And so I think it's a cool story. I'm glad that he made the film and exorcised his demons with this movie.
Yeah. And
I'm hopeful that Terry Gilliam now can go out and be rejuvenated himself and create something imaginative again, because he's a very imaginative filmmaker. But this did not work for me. There was a quote at the beginning of the movie where one of the characters says, "We become what we hold on to." That's very prescient. That's very prescient. And so ultimately, I gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it is too bad. But that's what we have for that. Also this week, a movie that we actually have reviewed previous that came out along with these movies was Shazam. DC's Shazam is also one of the new movies that would be on the marquee. And if you want to hear our full thoughts on the movie, we reviewed it a couple of weeks ago, so go back into our archives, either at sunpraymediacenter.com or on YouTube. Search Real Reviews K-Sun, and you can find our full thoughts on it. But, I mean, real quickly, if people didn't see, we loved it, right?
Yeah, it was a great movie. I was really surprised at how funny Shazam was and how lighthearted. DC is not known for its lighthearted. There's a meme going around now saying this is the year DC makes a Marvel movie. Yeah. Marvel makes a DC movie.
Yeah, Marvel's getting very dark this month.
And of course, we haven't seen the new Avengers, but I'm assuming since the last time we've visited everybody, half of everyone died. So.
I'll tell you what, I've seen Shazam again since we reviewed it last time, and I've done some kind of thinking over it, and I think it might be my favorite DC movie over Wonder Woman, because that end of Wonder Woman is a mess for me.
Okay.
I love 3/4 of that movie.
Yeah.
But that final fight scene does not work for me.
That's fair.
This one I had fun throughout.
Some of the physics I had problems with.
Yeah.
Which, if a bus falls from a very high spot and you have a 5-foot man catch it, that 5-foot man goes through the bus. Everybody in that bus squishes into pancake.
Sure.
But that's it. It was like a minor thing, just me nitpicking the reality of a superhero movie.
Sure.
But,
we've lost our backdrop of screaming children. They were all fans that came out to check out the show. It was really cool.
It was really cool.
The schools let kids out to come and check out the show. It was like the Today Show back here for a minute. They're holding signs. That was really awesome. All right. Moving backwards as we move ahead.
Yes.
Our movie throwback this week. We went all the way back to 1932, Mike.
That is a long ways away.
Why did we go all the way back?
Well, talking about zombie movies where someone brings someone back from the dead, but they're not quite the same, and it's a loved one. So I was thinking maybe White Zombie, like one of the original zombie movies. Bela Lugosi, he plays the murderer or the legendaire, and he is like the local Haitian voodoo or hoodoo priest. People ask him to make potions and stuff. A couple going up there, Neil and Madeline, they're about to get married under Beaumont's enticing. He's like, get married on my plantation. Beaumont is in love with Madeline. So we ask Bela Lugosi, make a little potion for him. He turns Madeline into a zombie, but she doesn't come back quite right. He does not like the results.
You would.
I'm not going to tell you the rest of the movie. You should see it. There is some really hilarious scenes where they try to make a vulture noise, and it sounds like there's a guy in the background going, ah, 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 and then turning around going, did I do it right? And it's like, yeah, buddy, we don't know what a vulture sounds like either, whatever.
None of us have heard of vulture.
But it's nice to see like matte painting and people using shadows again, and seeing Bela Lugosi. And this movie was done in 11 days. So if you want to see what people could do in 11 days, that's everything. 11 days.
Crazy impressive.
One movie. And Bela Lugosi made $800. And he complained about it the entire time afterwards because it made a lot of money for back then.
Yeah, I was really excited to watch this actually, and I waited, had a copy of it, and I tried watching it. I made it 22 minutes into the movie, and everything kept freezing up on me. And so I was very frustrated that I wasn't able to finish it. So instead, I went with the next best thing, another great voodoo movie. I watched Love Potion number 9.
Nice.
Sandra Bullock getting a love potion from a voodoo priest. Yeah, not as good.
No.
I don't think so. No vultures though, so there's that. So White Zombie, I'm still going to check it out because I was really getting into it, right? The action was starting to happen. She had just died, and then it froze.
I found it free streaming on some app, one of those weird ones. Not
I have
the
to
main
find a
ones.
weird app then, I guess,
Yeah.
and so are you, so you can watch White Zombie. Let's see. Well, let's take a look ahead, sir. What is going to be coming out the weekend of April 17th? We have 3 movies, and I know you're excited about each and every one of these.
Yep.
The first one, sir, is the movie Breakthrough. About a child who falls through the ice.
I'm looking forward to it just so I could stop seeing the trailer.
That trailer, boy oh boy.
Every movie
Yeah.
for months.
So we've got that on that weekend. We also have Disney Nature's Penguins. I always enjoy these Disney Nature movies.
They're cute. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
It's
them.
always funny to me how they make a narrative out of just following an animal around, but
Yeah.
they do a good job. And the last one is the new horror movie. More curses are happening, Mike. The Curse of La Llorona.
And this one looks legitimately creepy too. They had a
Yeah.
long trailer of just the scene from that movie that totally freaked me out.
Yeah?
It was a car scene where you just never felt safe. This car could have been an open
That's
thing.
what it's like when you ride with me.
Yeah,
Never feel
safe. It's crazy because you can't open up that door. It's just
Yeah. The child lock is always on. So those are the movies that will be coming out the weekend of April 17th. I believe that's Easter weekend. Before we go, look, there's a lot of things. This is our 5-year anniversary, as we said at the top of the show. We've had a lot of fun times here.
Yeah.
And specifically here in our location here at the Palace. Now, when we started the show, it was still at Eastgate. It was still the cinema of choice. And then this Palace literally opened up about a year into our program or so, and here we are. And we've seen basically 1,000 movies here, it feels like.
It probably is.
Yeah.
It's probably spot on when you say 1,000 movies. That is crazy.
Isn't it?
So do you have a fond memory?
And I have lots of fond memories. I mean, one of them was Force Awakens.
Okay.
When Force Awakens came out. That was the first, of the new Star Wars franchise, and the excitement was built around it and all that. And they kind of went all out here. And it was just fun because for the first time in a long time, I kind of rejuvenated that childlike, oh, we're coming opening night, we're coming midnight, I'm coming to multiple shows. The place is buzzing. It was great. I had a lot of fun with that. And, they did a lot of really cool things for people on opening night here.
Yeah.
How about you?
Okay, now this is not a memory I'd ever want to revisit, but I used to have fond memories. It's at the old theater. This is before you could pick your own spots.
Yeah.
And I would get giddy every time I could get that bar seat, that one where it was right before you get to the handicap portion, because then you could actually put your feet up on something and enjoy the movie. Of course, do I want to trade that for our dream loungers? No, not by any means. But there was a giddiness.
I am excited every time J13 is open for me because that's my jam, right? That's my seat. Don't take it.
I've taken it.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun here, and we want to give a special shout out to everyone here at Marcus Theater that has helped make this possible, sponsoring our program as long as they have. And specifically, Tom and Casey have been great for us, kind of two of the managers here. Tom runs this place, and he's been amazing here, always helpful for us. Whenever we ask for something, he's very, very willing to help us and let us come here in the middle of their business and have some fun. So we always appreciate that.
I always have to give a shout out to Katrina.
Our girl Katrina might be over my shoulder, but she's great. If you need tickets, she's the girl to talk to. She's a lot of fun. We always give her a little shout out here on the show.
And she likes movies too. She likes good movies.
That's the thing is, most of the people here, I still like reading the name tags. What's your favorite movie?
Yeah.
Oh, Wet Hot American Summer over my shoulder. But we want to thank, of course, Marcus for their support. It's greatly appreciated. And of course, it's been 5 years of doing this too. There's a lot of people that have helped make this possible. One of them is manning the board right now. Mara is our champion. She makes this show happen every week. Every time we have an issue, Mara's there to fix it.
If you ever go to our Facebook page, she's the ghost.
She's the ghost, the skeletal ghost. And of course, Jeff Robbins, who brought us in 5 years ago. And I found out I believe we were his first program that he brought in because he just had his 5-year anniversary at the studio a couple weeks ago. So we want to thank Jeff and everyone else. We've had so many people manning the boards behind us. Right now we have my son Logan who helps out, which is pretty awesome for the last year. But pretty great, good stuff.
5 years, not missing an episode.
Yeah.
So
keep rolling.
You got a lot of back. If this is your first episode, you got a long week ahead of you,
Absolutely.
trying to catch up.
Next week, Mike. Well, I just should say this is my final show.
You are full of it.
Well, at least for a couple weeks.
Yes.
Next week, Mike will be back with a special guest talking about the movies Little, Missing Link, and of course, Hellboy. But until that time, I'm Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.